Yo, welcome back. It's Ifty here. Today we're talking about the heart. Things people never told you. Supernatural abilities of the heart. If you are able to tap into these three things that I'll go through in this video today, it can be incredibly life-changing for you like it has been for me. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. The heart. What do you think the heart is? Let me ask you, what do you think the heart is? Well, we all know, and when we grew up, taking biology class, dissecting pigs' hearts, doing all these things, the heart is a pump, right? That's what they told us. The heart is a pump. It pumps blood. It keeps your circulation going. What is the heart for? There's Eastern philosophy, ancient traditions that have attempted to explain what the heart is. And we're going to get to this because there's an energetic property to your heart. Let's get right into it here with number one. Number one is your heart-mind coherence, heart-mind connection. Your brain is able to generate waves. We know this. Alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves when you're in a deep meditative state, delta waves when you're in deep sleep. Your brain generates waves, but your heart also has the ability to generate a rhythmic electromagnetic wave that has been shown to radiate for most people roughly about 3 feet outside of their body. Have you ever stood beside somebody and you could feel that they're pissed off? You didn't pick it up here, right? Most of the time you actually feel it here when there's tension between you and someone else. You're actually tapping into the heart field at that point. That is your intuition that resides in your heart. The heart receives information from this field and then communicates it to the right hemisphere of the brain, and this is the relationship between the heart and the mind. And we're going to get more into that later of how you can actually take control of this pathway, this relationship, to bring anything you want into your reality. This happens in the right hemisphere of the brain. It's a part of the mind that we have been essentially gatekept from by scientists, institutions, doctors, the medical world has kept this all from us because we live in a left brain dominated society, an analytical society. We psychoanalyze people. We're just very analytical, right? Many of us are disconnected from our hearts. I was, for sure, for a very long time, was not able to feel anything, literally feel anything. And that's because I'd severed this connection. But it wasn't until I actually started making this connection to the right hemisphere of the brain through taking on more creative activities, through doing daily meditations, which is probably the most powerful thing to do, is to do a daily meditation where you let your thoughts come up and keep observing your thoughts till there's really nothing left. And in that void, you'll see truths get revealed. That's when that little intuitive whisper actually becomes much louder, and you're able to see what information has been stored in your heart field, essentially. Now, there's a lot more science between this relationship between the heart and the mind, but I just want to kind of keep a high level here for you that there is this relationship, and I encourage you to kind of explore that through some of the things I mentioned. Number two, this comes from Eastern philosophy, Eastern traditions. The heart binds your higher and lower selves. And Eastern philosophy shows us this, that there's spheres of consciousness within us. And each sphere of consciousness is responsible for a certain part of our body. The heart essentially is the mediator between your higher and lower selves. Your lower selves being that attachment to the material world, to things like business relationships, gaining financial wealth, relationships, sex, that sort of thing, is all tied to your lower natures, your sense of self and your power, your sense of power. And how you perceive yourself in the world, your self-esteem, all of that comes down from your lower natures. Your higher self is the pursuit of your true purpose, the pursuit of higher intuition. This is where spirituality comes in. And you'll be surprised to know that imbalances can happen on both sides of the spectrum here. And energetically, even these Eastern philosophies refer to the heart as sort of the gateway to the soul. This heart has, again, think about the heart fields that we talked about, right? It has this ability to collect information around it that we aren't even consciously aware of, but it comes up to us as a sort of feeling. And when it comes up as a feeling, how often have you had a feeling, maybe you're at work, you're moving boxes around at this job you hate, and you get this like intuitive whisper that comes up, you hate this job. You really should have just left this job a long time ago. What about that application you've been sitting on for that other place for a long time? Maybe you need to fill it out. These little intuitive whispers will come up. Most of us just ignore them, right? We just go about our day. There's just so many distractions and overstimulation today that it's hard to hang on to any thought, never mind an intuitive whisper. And so, again, this video is sort of to give you at a high level these 3 abilities of your heart. And at the end of this video, let me know in the comments what resonated with you the most, because I'd love to deep dive into each one of these. And, oftentimes even disease will manifest when energy here is blocked. When energy is not flowing freely through the lower natures, through the heart to the higher natures. Heart blocks are very common in today's society because we're cut off from our hearts. The heart-mind connection it just doesn't exist, right? Number 3, this comes from an ancient Hermetic teachings called the 7 Hermetic Principles. We don't actually know who wrote these. Some people speculate that it was this ancient Egyptian godlike figure called Thoth who engraved on these emerald tablets these 7 laws. It was later interpreted by another guy. Some people suggest that it was Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes, known as Hermes in the Greek mythology. But basically, the heart is a reality generator machine, and when your intuition is just so important. I can't understate, your ability to tap into higher levels of consciousness, even consciousness that resides outside of space and time. When you have an intuitive whisper, when you want to create anything in your life, anything meaningful that's aligned with your true purpose, it starts with this process right here. So many people subvert the process. They start with the mind. They end up creating massive amounts of success. They're still empty. So the key here to creating something that's fulfilling, that'll also generate material wealth, that'll make you feel like you've integrated all yourselves and have a strong heart-mind connection, is this process right here. No matter what you want to create, whether it's a business, whether you have an ambitious goal that you want to do, a project, it all starts here. Listen to the intuitive whisper. Start meditating on the feeling that's coming up here. You may feel sometimes in life you're magnetically drawn towards something, and it's hard to describe analytically what that thing is. And sometimes the idea that comes up of what you want to do next, what you're intuitively magnetically drawn to, can seem almost delusional or crazy, right? Like leaving your job as a warehouse worker to go to school to be a marine biologist or something, but maybe when you were young you actually wanted to be a marine biologist. That was your purpose, and you would have been incredibly successful had you followed your intuition down that road. But let's say you get the intuitive whisper, hey, I'm working at a warehouse, but I'm so drawn to these Discovery Channel shows. I'm always watching, the marine biologists on TV. I feel a deep connection. I feel every time I go out into the ocean, I feel deeply depressed when I go back to my warehouse job. Maybe I need to go to school, get an education. This is where the mind comes in. Now you'll start following these intuitive whispers of the heart. Intuitive things might start coming up for you. Now this is where the mind comes in, is creating a plan around this, is accumulating knowledge around the thing that you want to create. We're all creators. We're created in the image of God. We all have the ability to create things. And so the mind comes in, you come up with a plan, you start thinking about the process of what you need to do. I need to go to school, I need to get a scholarship, I need to apply for grants and scholarships and get funding. I need to allocate the time to do this. And then this is the last part. This is where most people get stuck. They ruminate on the plan that they have, and having that plan just feels so good, right? Just having the plan is like a safety blanket. It's comfy, right? It's comfy to have the safety of I have the knowledge, I know what I need to do. And sometimes people are satisfied with that. And then later realize yeah, I'm actually not all that satisfied with that. I need to take some action. Guts, this is where it comes in. And this is actually something that bothered me about the spiritual community and the New Age movement when I first started learning about all this stuff, is a lot of these channels on YouTube will tell you to connect with your higher guide. They'll tell you follow your intuition. They'll tell you all this stuff, meditate, all these things you can do. But it almost turns into a sort of mental masturbation. It doesn't actually turn into anything. There's no legitimate result in that manifests in the physical world. You know, even though we want to live in a highly elevated spiritual space, high vibration all the time, we still live in the material world. If you want to make a difference in this world, you need to be able to, you know, create a financial income for yourself, and sometimes a substantial one if you want to do big things in this world. But this is where the material side comes in, integrating the ability to function in the material world, right? If the energy is not flowing through the heart freely, that's going to be a problem. Action, taking action and having the plan. But then also, after taking action for some time, stopping and reflecting. Because you can't take action and reflect at the same time. I find that's where it can be really confusing, and you won't know if you're listening to your ego, if you're listening to your heart. Because we get caught up in this egoic process. Ego is attached to the material world. Then you take a break and you go right back to the start. Listen to the intuitive feelings from the heart. Where are you now on the path? Where do you need to recalibrate, recenter, re-examine things? And then you get right back into it with the mind. Create a new plan. What's moving forward? What worked? What didn't? And then finally, guts, taking action again. And going through this cycle over and over again will be how this heart, starting with the heart, creating a new reality for yourself that's more in line with who you are at a heart-centered level. The person you were meant to be since you came here. You know, some people even theorize that before our souls came into being on this planet, before you were born, there were certain agreements that you made. And, you know, we should really go into this in another video because it's a little bit more esoteric. But it's like agreements that you may have made that have formed your life purpose that many of us ignore our whole lifetime and can't figure out why we're making millions of dollars, but we're still feeling hollow and empty on the inside. Or we've ascended to spiritual masters or gurus or whatever, and, you know, choose to live a poverty lifestyle and aren't able to actually make a real difference in the world. You know what I mean? Both to be re-examined, and, you know, integrating that and following the process will help you in, you know, recognizing the power of your heart. Until next time, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And until next time, I'll see you again. Peace.